Happy Friday, Fan Clan. What is going on? My name is Dannyphantump. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are all doing well. Hope you're having a really good week. We have Paradox Rift coming in just 1 week. I'm actually very, very excited for Paradox Rift. You can let me know what you think in the comment section down below, how excited you are. Maybe you've hit up a pre-release. Let me know how your polls have gone. Last week, Friday, we had a really fun video. It was our first video ever that was sponsored officially by the Pokemon Company International. It was an absolute blast to record. If you haven't watched it, I recommend going back and watching it just so you can let me know what you think. It was a very different video from what we're used to. In the video, we opened up 36 151 packs. So 36 Scarlet and Violet 151 packs. And every time we pulled an ultra rare, we had to go over to the Pokemon Center website and buy something related to that ultra rare. It was really, really weird. We ended up getting a lot of weird stuff like fleece socks and pillow covers. We got some really cool stuff as well. And then we're giving it all away to one lucky subscriber. And that subscriber is D-Generation X 206. D-Generation X 206. Congratulations, my friend. You are the winner of all of that random stuff. But most importantly, the socks and the pillow covers are yours to do what you'd like with. So I expect photos of you wearing the socks, maybe wearing never mind, just forget the last 1 minute of what I've said because that's really weird. Anyways, congratulations. I just need your information. If you could do me a favor and just shoot me an email, dannyphantumpcontent@gmail.com. Otherwise, you can message me on Instagram at danny.phantump or Twitter danny__o. I'll just have you verify your YouTube account, and then I can just send you everything. It'll be really cool. If you didn't win, that's okay. That's okay, because we like to give stuff away, and we're going to continue doing that because we have Paradox Rift coming up very, very soon, and we're going to give away an entire master set. We started doing that with 151, but one lucky subscriber is going to win an entire master set of Paradox Rift. Stay tuned. That giveaway should start like Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere around there, hopefully. So stay tuned. Make sure you're coming back to the channel. Hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. But first of all, we're going to kind of wrap things up for the week before we jump into Paradox Rift stuff, which should start up on Sunday. I want to talk about alternate arts again. We've talked about alternate arts a lot on this channel, but what a time to be a collector right now because things are really falling in price. So if you haven't, as long as you've been patient, if you haven't FOMO'd or if you haven't lost your mind or anything like that, there's some really good cards out there right now that are falling in price like crazy. I mean, they are crashing in price. Singles have been absolutely destroyed. And part of that is just because of the economy. Part of that is just with everything that's going on. A lot of people getting out of Pokemon or selling off their more expensive cards so that way they can fund other areas of interest or just, basic life things. But a lot of alternate arts are really dropping. So if you've been kind of like slowly waiting to purchase some of these alternate arts, we've talked about some of these before, especially the Umbreon VMAX, waiting and being patient because it just didn't make sense how expensive it was. And as people start getting out of Pokemon a little bit or their interest level is changing in Pokemon, there's a lot more becoming available, which is really driving the price down. Basic economics, supply and demand, it's going absolutely crazy. And we're going to start off with looking at the Umbreon VMAX. We got 15 different alternate arts, and there's pretty much all the alternate arts right now are all falling in price. A few of them have kind of retraced a little bit. They're very, very level and stagnant over the past few months, but a lot of them have really dropped in price. Like this Umbreon VMAX, you can see going over the past year's worth of data here, where it was down in January of 2023 down to 472.07. That was the low point in the past year, and everybody was like, oh my goodness, look at how far this card has dropped. But then it really just took off after that. It started getting pumped. It was going like crazy, and up in April of 2023 it jumped to a 1 year high of 652.25. It has basically erased everything that it gained over that 3-month stretch, and it has fallen basically all the way back to where it was a year ago. You can see it's dropped all the way down to $495.96, so it's crossed that $500 threshold, continuing to fall in price, trending in the downward direction. Definitely a card you want to keep an eye on moving forward. It would not surprise me, and you could say, Fanny, you're crazy. It would not surprise me if we saw this card drop below $450, if we saw this card drop down closer to that $400 mark. It's a beautiful card, but there are a lot of them out there, and there's a lot of them in PSA 10, and with this card being modern and Evolving Skies still getting ripped a lot, not as available in stores to find, but still getting ripped a lot. It wouldn't surprise me if this card continued to drop, because with the amount that are available, and as collectors now, we know a lot more than what we used to 20 years ago. With this card being so available, people doing a good job of protecting their cards, keeping their cards, and then starting to find different interests in the hobby, it wouldn't surprise me if more supply came available as we moved forward, and this card dropped even a little further. And we'll see what happens. Obviously, things could change. It could go up in price, but it's definitely trending in the downward direction, much like this Giratina V from Lost Origin. We've pulled this card a couple times over the past month or so on our Tuesday pack breaks. It's been a lot of fun to open up. I can't pull this card for myself, but I can pull it for a lot of other people, which is really cool. In November of 2022, this card was sitting at a one-year low of 229.36. It started climbing and climbing. You can see in April of 2023, much like what we saw with that Umbreon VMAX, it hit that one-year high of 331.98. A beautiful looking card, but then it started retracing, it started correcting, it started going backwards, and now it's sitting at 258.56. So getting very close again to that one-year low, which we saw last November, and continuing to trend in the downward direction. Again, Lost Origin, a lot of people still opening packs. The thing about Sword and Shield in general, not as many people interested in Scarlet and Violet packs. So 151 has been great for a lot of people. It's kept a lot of people's attention. But as we move forward, Paradox Rift does look like a great set, but it might not be. I mean, you might be looking at as popular as Paldea Evolved. So a lot of stuff will get ripped, but at the same time, pull rates are a lot better in the Scarlet and Violet generation. And then you have people kind of going back to Sword and Shield, as packs are still relatively cheap over there to kind of open up, some booster packs, have a little bit of fun, and then more Giratinas get pulled. Lost Origin, still a pack that's out there, still available under MSRP. Obviously, they've reprinted the set multiple times since then. Booster box is still below MSRP right now, so people kind of enjoying the Sword and Shield block, probably more so than the Scarlet and Violet block, which is causing a lot of these alternate arts also to really fall down in price, like this Lugia V, which is at the lowest point it's been ever since release. I never thought we would see a $130 Lugia, but it is trending in the downward direction and continuing to fall further and further. Not too long after Silver Tempest came out, right when Silver Tempest came out, actually, this was sitting at that one-year high of $233.85. It's done nothing but go down since then. Really, in February, March, somewhere around there, it kind of leveled off a little bit. You saw right around 190, it kind of leveled off, and then really just started crashing even further. You can see in September, started going up a little bit, but then those God Tins happened and it went back even further. So now it's sitting at 130.96, which is just above its one-year low of 130.08 and continuing to trend. And you might say, hey, Fanny, how far can this card fall? Well, let's look at the Charizard, because that one is falling like crazy and coming very close to that double-digit price point of $99 as opposed to $100. So Lugia could very well fall as far as what Charizard is falling, because obviously Charizard, very popular Pokemon, a beautiful-looking alternate art. It's got that Arceus feel in the background there with the Battle of Venusaur. Really cool-looking card, but not performing anywhere near how well it was a year ago. In November of 2022, it was sitting at a one-year high of 198.04, so just below that $200 mark, and it's lost half of that value almost over the past year. Absolutely crazy how far this card has fallen. And it's a beautiful card, don't get me wrong, but again, modern cards selling for hundreds of dollars just aren't making a whole lot of sense right now, especially with the way the economy is and people kind of getting out of the game. It's a great time to be a collector and start looking at some of these cards that might have been priced a little bit too high in the past. This card continues to drop. It's sitting at 111.89 as a one-year low a couple weeks ago, sitting at 112.87 currently, and still trending in the downward direction. So you might be able to follow suit those two cards, Lugia and Charizard, to see, kind of predict how far Lugia might fall. The Rayquaza V is the next one we're going to look at here, the alternate art from Evolving Skies. This one was over $100 at one point in November of 22. It jumped up over $100 to that 104.56. If you remember, October, November is really when a lot of alternate arts started getting pushed big time on the market, and they started climbing and climbing and climbing. In December hit, January hit, a lot of them started retracing a little bit, including this Rayquaza V. Leveled off from about January of 2023 up until June of 2023. You could see it hovering right around that $90 mark. But then in the late summer months, it really started falling all the way up into the beginning of fall, where it's sitting at $74.99 currently. So this is the lowest this card has been really since release, and continuing to trend in that downward direction. Machamp V is so beautiful. Oh, this is such a great looking card. This is, unfortunately, is not the lowest lowest it's ever been. If you remember when Astral Radiance originally came out, this card was pre-ordering for about $55, and then it got hyped up like crazy. And this card flew above $100 and continued to trend above $100 for several months after that. You can see in November of 2022, it was up to $126.67. That was its one-year high. It did drop down to about $105, but it stayed very level at that point from January all the way up until June. And then, like what we've seen from a lot of other singles in the market, it really crashed after that. And it's been a little bit level over the past month and a half now, but it hit that $88 mark, dropped down to $86.88 as its one-year low. And now it's been relatively flat over the last month, sitting at $88.14 currently. But a beautiful artwork card, very difficult to pull, really selling for much cheaper than where it was a year ago. Glaceon V, also the same as what we saw with the Rayquaza V. A lot of alternate arts from Evolving Skies starting to fall in price. There's a couple of them that are a little bit outliers. That Dragonite V still doing fairly well, a little bit flat, but definitely lower than where it was. But Glaceon V has trended in the downward direction. You can see losing about $30, about 40% of its value over the past year. This one was trending upwards in January of 2023. It hit that one-year high of $78.51. It did fall in February and then kind of leveled out until April, where it started to go up a little bit. And then in June of 2023, it had a very steep downward spiral, basically, all the way up until September, where it leveled out again and then fell again. It hit $49.83 a couple weeks ago as a one-year low. Now it's leveled off to about $50.71, but continuing to trend in that downward direction. The Mewtwo V from Pokemon Go, this card has not performed well. Pokemon Go in general has not performed very well. I think it came out about 5 years too late. Still a lot of fun to open, in my own personal opinion, because you get a lot of hits, right? You can obviously hunt for that Ditto. There's the Radiant Charizard, the Radiant Blastoise, the Radiant Venusaur. The Mewtwo V looks absolutely stunning. Like, it's a beautiful looking alternate art, in my opinion. However, it has not done very well. It's lost over half of its value in the past year. In November of 2022, this one was selling for just below $32 at $31.73. A little bit of a slow drop from November of 2022 all the way up until June of 2023. It only lost about $5-6, but then after that, like what we saw with a lot of these other cards, it dropped considerably in August, September, fell all the way down to $14.82 at the beginning of October. It's leveled off a little bit to $15.69 currently, but still about half the value of where it was a year ago. Chilling Rain, Zero Aura V, this is a beautiful looking card as well. A lot of these alternate arts, absolutely stunning. This card was trending upward for quite a while in October and November of 2022, all the way up until January of 2023, where it hit that one-year high of $71.92. It did fall a little bit in April and then kind of leveled out right around that $55 mark. But then once we hit September, it really started to drop. It fell all the way down to $38. It hit $38.80 at the beginning of October, and it's sitting at $38.99, so it's only gained about 19 cents back. So again, close to half the value of where it was 7-8 months ago, which is absolutely insane. The Breakdancing Genesect with that really cool Smeargle in the background, a beautiful card, obviously very playable. Mew VMAX is a huge playable deck and has been for quite some time, but the Breakdancing Genesect has not done very well. Again, another card that's lost almost half of its value. Same story, different card, started climbing in price in October of 2022, jumped all the way up in January of 2023 to that $27.97 one-year high, and then really lost a lot of steam all the way up until June of 2023, where it kind of leveled out a little bit, and then at the end of September, dropped even further down and hit $15.88 currently. That's a one-year low for that Genesect V. Oh, the Regidrago V. This one is not doing well at all. This was a $100 card about a week after Silver Tempest came out. The Lugia V was very popular. The Regidrago V was very popular. It did have some possible playability connotations associated with it, but it did not do well on the market after release. And a lot of that is just because alternate arts in general did very well right around the time Silver Tempest released. They were getting pumped all over the place. They were rising like crazy. You can see in November of 2022, this one was already starting to trend downward. It was sitting at $61.77. It's lost 75% of its value over the past year. It's dropped all the way down to $14.97. The fall has been a little bit less significant over the past few months, but that's because it's already a $15 card. How much further can it drop? Beautiful looking card, really cool Arceus feel, Legends Arceus feel to it, but very affordable now at $14.97, which is really, really cool. And Polion V, one of my favorite alternate arts in battle styles. I love this one. I love the Tyranitar V. Very cool looking cards. The Tyranitar V doing very well right now. Actually very, very stagnant, very flat. But the Empoleon V not doing well. And that's surprising because this one did have a little bit of playability associated with it, especially over the past 6 months or so, as a good way to counter some of the other decks that were in the meta. In November of 2022, this one was sitting at $42.76. Stayed relatively flat up until January of 2023. And that's when the dive kind of started going up and down, up and down, up until June, where it really kind of hit a wall. And then at the beginning of October, it fell even further from about $30 down to $22.79. It's sitting at a 1-year low, currently continuing to trend in the downward direction. Empoleon V not doing very well, but a beautiful looking card. Definitely one to kind of look at as we move forward. Then we've got the Hisuian Lilligant V. This one was again trending upward in October, November, December, January. Hit that 1-year high of $21.92 and then really started retracing up until April, where it leveled out for about a month and a half and then fell even further. It hit a 1-year low at the beginning of October, where it hit single digits at $9.62. It has gained a little bit back, sitting at $10.19 currently, but definitely way cheaper than where it was a year ago. The Origin Form Palkia V, a very playable card back when it was released, not as playable now as what it was, not doing as well in the competitive field. But November of 2022, this one was sitting at $54.67. So it's lost about 60% of its value over the past year, and really just not a whole lot of flat activity from Palkia V. It's pretty much been trending downward since it came out. You can see a brief spot in April where it started to gain a little traction and then fell back down, dropped all the way down to $22.90 a couple of weeks ago. It's sitting at $23.28 currently, but still trending in that downward direction. I think the last one we're looking at is this Honchkrow V right here. This one was very difficult to pull. Pull rates for alternate art still very difficult, but some of them getting extremely affordable, like this Honchkrow V from Brilliant Stars right here. Relatively flat, not too bad of drops, basically from November of 2022 all the way up until June of 2023. It was still selling for about $12, $13 at that point. It had its 1-year high hit in January of 2023 at $15.57, but if you look what's happened between June and September, it lost over half of its value in just the span of 2 months. It dropped all the way down to $5.21 at the beginning of October. It's retraced a little bit to $5.77, but still way lower than where it was even just a couple of months ago, which is absolutely insane. Very interesting to look at with how difficult some of these alternate arts are to pull. You can let me know in the comments section down below what you think if you're buying some of these cards right now, because some of them really affordable. If you're looking at adding some alternate arts, there's some really cheap options out there, which is absolutely great, especially for collecting. And this is why you don't pay attention solely to the money side of things when it comes to collecting Pokemon, because it will frustrate you, it will get you, and that's why it's important to look at, okay, well, what cards do I really want for my collection and what price am I willing to pay for them? Because then the price point doesn't really matter what it falls to, because you got it at the price that you were looking for. I hope you enjoy the content. If you do, hit that subscribe button down below, leave a like, leave a comment. Those go really far for the algorithm, but most importantly, I just really appreciate you guys being here, listening to me ramble, talk Pokemon. It's honestly like a great feeling. So thank you so much for that. I will talk to you guys again in a couple of days, hopefully with some Paradox Rift. Until then, guys, peace.